Now I'm recording it. So, well, as I said, good morning to all of you that are in Colombia, who are invited participants today is Olena, Annukka, and Javier and Felipe. It's pretty much like good afternoon for you guys, because in Finland it's 5 o'clock in the afternoon, Annukka?
Yes, it's 5 p.m. already.
Wow, yeah, so Annukka is working for Alto. She's going to tell us a bit more about battery storage, among other things. And Olena, where are you based?
I'm based in Stockholm, Sweden, and I work for KTH.
And so Olena got a very, very Swedish name. She's not from Sweden, I think.
Not at all, yes. I'm from Ukraine, from Kyiv.
Yeah. And then we got Felipe here, who is studying in Barcelona on one of the programs that innoenergy have got. Which program are you on, Felipe?
Master's in Sustainable Energy Systems.
Wow. Okay. And you, Javier, and Javier is working for EIT Energy, and he's a marketing manager for EIT Energy, if I'm not wrong.
Yeah, correct. So, and I work from our office in the Netherlands. So we have 2 offices in the Netherlands, actually, one in Amsterdam and one in Eindhoven. And I'm normally based in Amsterdam, but yeah, a year and a half working from home now.
Very, very good. And yeah, Javier was born in Costa Rica, but living in Netherlands. Me myself, my name is Jörgen Sjöberg, a very, very Colombian name. As you can say, well, I was born in Sweden. And I moved to Colombia back in 2002, so I've been living here for quite a few years. And we represent several Swedish universities, then some Denmark, Norway, Finland as well. And today we're going to look at the programs that EIT Energy have got, which are very, very good programs, which count at a double degree. And to find a job when you've done one of their programs is very, very good. It comes at 94% of the people who find a job in Europe. Javier?
Sorry, Jürgen, it was breaking.
Okay, is it 94% of the people who have studied one of your programs find a job?
In 6 months, and 77% of the people are actually employed in Europe.
Wow. It's a very, very good percentage. It's a very, very good opportunity for the people who like to do one of these programs to find a job afterwards. It's a very amazing opportunity. So, so today we're going to talk about the EIT Energy's program in smart city, sustainable energy systems, and energy storage. And also, we saw that quite a few people are very interested in that program in renewable energy. That is another program we're going to look at. So when it comes to us, as I said, my name is Jörgen Sjöberg. I am the owner and the founder of Instituto Nordico, a company I founded back in 2007. And we teach quite a few languages. So in Colombia, we teach Swedish, we also teach Norwegian, but you could also study another language, even like Japanese, Mandarin. If you like to study one of these languages, we got contacts with institutes and those countries. If you like to study English as well, then it can help you out. And if you like to certify your Swedish level, you can do it with us with an exam called Swedix and another one called Thesis. So at the moment we work, I think it's even more. I think we're working with 27 countries. Might be actually be more at the moment. I think might be 28. And we can help you with the visa application, pretty much like tell you which documents you need for the visa application. We also got an official translator in Colombia who can help you with the documents from what we got, I think, from English to from Spanish to English. When it comes to studying abroad, I think the most important thing is to have a good English level. And looking at the programs that EIT Energy have got, you need an IELTS, which is 6.5, and mostly not the lowest score can't be below 5.5. I think it's when it comes to see here in Eindhoven, you need the lowest score can be 6.0. TOEFL 92. Minimum writing 22. Eindhoven is 32. That's what you need when it comes to the English level. And at the moment, we're in the fourth round, and it's actually closing tomorrow, the fourth round. So if you would like to study at Aalto or KTH, you need to apply tomorrow if you would like to do the first year at Aalto or KTH. If it's okay for you to do your second year at KTH or Aalto, then you can apply in the fifth round. So still it's not a problem if you apply after tomorrow. But Javier is going to tell you a bit more about how to apply to their programs. So in energy, they work with quite a few universities, as you can see. Here we got Uppsala, KTH, in Finland got Aalto, and then we got in Poland as well, some universities in Germany, Spain, where Felipe is studying at the moment. Where are you studying, Felipe?
The UPC, Universitat Politécnica de Catalunya.
Okay, very good. And then we got Italy, you can say in Italy, you can say in France, and Portugal, Netherlands, Belgium. So quite a good collection of universities where you can study in the world. You can study in Europe through EIT Energy. And if you would like to stay in a country and work there, it's important. I wouldn't say it's necessary to learn to speak the language where they to speak the language where you're studying, but it's good to have some knowledge in the language at least. So if you like to study Swedish, well, you can study Swedish with us. If you like to study at KTH, we haven't got any course in Finnish yet, but we might have it in the future. So when it comes to scholarships, very good scholarship is COLFUTURO, but they closed their applications, I think, on the 1st of March. So if you like to apply through COLFUTURO, then you can do it for next year. But still, EIT Energy got very good scholarships. They got a scholarship which covers the entire semester, the semester that covers the fees. And they also got another scholarships which is 8,000 euros. So it's another very good scholarship. But Javier is going to tell a bit more about the scholarship that EIT Energy got in a minute. So if you'd like to contact us, here are our number, 301-517-6511. And we're also on Facebook, and we're also on Instagram, and we are here to help you with the application. And we don't charge anything to help you with the application. So here with us today, as I told you, we got Javier, which is Senior Marketing Manager for the Master Programs. We got Olena, who is a Research Engineer at KTH. We got Annukka, which is Assistant Professor of Energy, Conversion and Storage. And so these are the people we got here on the webinar today. So I'm now going to leave you with Javier.
Thank you so much, Jürgen. Let me share my screen. Can you see my screen?
Yes, I can.
Yeah, okay, super. And do you know if I show a video, is the audio gonna work? You're muted, Jürgen.
Let's see.
Let's try it. So I want to give an impression of one of our graduates from this program. If it doesn't work, then we move on. It doesn't matter.
My academic background with I was born in Milan, Italy in 1992, and I'm energy is my passion. Swimming when I was a kid made me realize how our body is constantly transforming energy in every moment of our life. When I graduated in energy engineering, I realized that sustainable energy was the field where I wanted to develop my professional career. That's why I chose innoenergy. I wanted to focus on sustainable energy and diversify my academic background with a more international and business-oriented master's program. Thanks to the select program Environmental Pathways for Sustainable Energy Systems, I got to learn, travel, and meet many incredible people that I have known from my friends and colleagues. When I graduated, I really wanted to implement the skills that I learned with my master's in energy, and I found this great opportunity in Tesla. Besides its well-known automotive industry, Tesla provides a unique set of energy solutions. My team and I here in Italy in particular are responsible for business-to-business sales in the residential energy storage sector, allowing small businesses and homeowners to produce, store, and use their energy whenever they want. And one of the things I like the most about my job is that when I get to travel around Italy and visit customers, I do that with the Tesla.
Right, so why do we start with this video? Well, basically, I wanted to show you what life could look like when you actually study at the IIT Innoenergy. And also that's why we invited today Felipe, who's currently doing this same program, Sustainable Energy Systems. But also because this experience of Francesco touches upon a few topics that we're going to discuss later. For example, electrical vehicles, which of course is a crucial aspect of our programs, but also energy storage, which is key, and we have a program dedicated to that, including a year at Aalto University, from whom we have a representative today. And what can you do in terms of energy for smart cities if you don't, smart cities in general, if you don't think about, of course, electric mobility? And there, of course, not only storage, but the whole, electric vehicle sector plays a very big role. So kind of like brings together different aspects. But before that, let me just tell you who we are as a company, because we're not a university. Let's set that clear from the beginning. We're actually a company created by the European Union, and we do a few things. So we are actually accelerate companies, startups, projects, initiatives in the energy sector across Europe. So through funding that we receive from the European Union, and also funding, revenue that we generate from our own activities, we invest that in projects, in companies, in ideas, so that we can make the energy transition happen faster. But we also invest in education. And we do that in cooperation with our partner universities. So we co-design programs, for example, the Masters in Energy Storage, where we bring together a few institutions. So we come together with a few institutions, and we decide to tackle some of the key challenges of the energy transition today. So we have been created since 2010, and we have been doing this ever since. And we do this in all sectors of energy, so be it energy efficiency, circular economy, even nuclear energy or energy for transport, mobility, as I was saying, supporting very big projects and trying to develop educational activities around all of these topics. Up until today, we have more than 1,200 graduates from our programs, majority of which are employed in Europe. So 77% of them are actually in Europe, with Germany, Netherlands, Sweden, Spain, some of the top countries where they work, France. We have supported more than 300 startups. We have invested more than 500 million euros. So the scale of our impact is quite large. And we have more than 500 partners across Europe. And what we try to do is one of our KPIs is actually to make connections between these partners and our students. So we have a dedicated job board, we have different activities. For example, we have an event next week, which is our Master School Connect, which normally happens face-to-face, but unfortunately, COVID hasn't allowed us to do this yet. So we're going to do it online, and we're going to have about 50 companies where that students can do matchmaking with. These companies are looking for interns, full-time employees, etc. projects, and we have companies like Tesla, Precisely, Toyota, Volvo, but also like Northvolt, Vattenfall, which is a large utility from Sweden, joining this activity to recruit our students, and these are all our partners. Then we go into our program. So what is so unique about our programs? Well, as I said, we're not a university. The degrees that you're going to obtain are from these universities like KTH and Aalto, who are here today. We have 8 programs. You get a double degree, so you study at 2 different places, 1 year in one of these universities, the second year at another one, and then you obtain a double degree. But on top of that, we're also going to train you in innovation and entrepreneurship, which is our second pillar that you see here in the middle. So on the first part is, of course, your academic experience, access to some of the best universities, but then we believe that engineering skills alone are not enough. You need to know about business, you need to know about innovation, entrepreneurship. You follow courses at, for example, ESADE Business School, which I'm sure Felipe can tell you more about later. You do projects like real life projects called Project of the Year, Integrated Project of the Year for the Sustainable Energy Systems programs. You do field visits when it's allowed, company visits, additional training like data science, project management, and so on. And the third aspect is, of course, developing your career, which is what I was saying we do in cooperation with our partners. So we have different events. We have in fall every year, we have what we call the Career Impact Challenges, where students also solve real life challenges from companies like McKinsey and so on. Normally they travel to a big fair and they do it there face-to-face in front of the employees. Last year couldn't be face-to-face, but we hope as things start to get back to normal this year, we can do it face-to-face. And even if you want to become an entrepreneur, we have tools to support you and even get an investment. So we have this competition that's called the Battle of Green Talent, where the winning company initiative from our students gets 10,000 euros cash for the students and 5,000 euros for support in our accelerator program. So you can even become an entrepreneur. So these are all the programs that we offer, and I'm not going to present them all today because I think otherwise we'll make this way too long, but I'll just touch upon a few of them that we have representatives here today. And also including the Masters in Renewable Energy, because I understand many of the students are interested in this program from what Jürgen has told me. But just to give you an idea, a glimpse of the institutions that we have in our network and where you can study depending on the program that you choose, ranging from Iberia, France, Italy, Germany, Benelux, Poland, Scandinavia. It's a large set of universities, all very well ranked in some of the most innovative countries in Europe. Yeah, I think, I mean, it's a fantastic experience. And normally, depending what you choose, you can even experience more than 2, because it might be that you have to do some of your courses in other countries than the ones that you are studying at or living at. And then, as I think Jürgen was explaining at the beginning, for us, what's important is what happens with your career afterwards. And we're very proud because our students find jobs quite quickly. And many of them are employed in Europe. You're not forced to stay in Europe, like you can go back, and if you want, that's perfectly fine, of course. But many of our students want to take advantage of this network and, of course, get a job within it. So they stay working in Europe. Now, about our programs, for example, we have the Masters in Sustainable Energy Systems, or Environmental Pathways for Sustainable Energy Systems, to be quite precise, which is a program that Felipe can tell you all about if you have questions. But in the first year, basically, you get a bit of a broader understanding of what sustainable energy systems are all about. And then in your second year, you can specialize. And when you specialize, you can choose one of the universities you see here labeled as year 2. Meaning you do your first year in either Spain or Sweden, and then your second year you can choose to move to another of these institutions, for example, KTH, where you do combined energy systems, or Aalto University, where you study sustainable biomass processing. But you also have other options. And then also you get to study at the ESADE Business School to follow some courses, and you get to do projects with either real life companies, cities, municipalities, countries, and even in some cases that the students do every year. Then we have one of our fresher, let's say, programs, newer, which is the Masters in Energy Storage. One of the founders of this program is Annukka, which is here with us today from Aalto University, which is all about bridging that gap between the demand and supply of energy through developing storage mechanisms that include, of course, batteries, but not only, any other forms of storage capabilities. And this is a growing field. So the European Union itself has a massive investment in this field, because otherwise it's not possible to reach the targets of the energy transition. And it is estimated that about 100,000 new jobs will be created every year thanks to these developments, especially in batteries, but not only. This program consists of 3 institutions: Portugal, Instituto Superior Técnico, Italy, Politecnico di Torino, and Aalto University. So I'm sure Annukka can tell you all about, for example, which courses you would follow in Aalto and so on. Then we have a Master's in Energy for Smart Cities, which we have a representative from KTH here today with us. And this is a program that's focusing on, it's not kind of like the urban city planning development kind of approach to smart cities, but actually how to apply energy solutions into the development of smart cities. So it's not an architectural program, it's actually an engineering energy, a lot of electrical topics program. And this is interesting because the program works in cooperation with smart cities like Amsterdam, Barcelona, Antwerp, where students do activities. They meet entrepreneurs, they meet companies, they try to develop projects, they create their own startups to tackle some of the challenges of the energy transition and its application to smarter cities. You can do your first year in either Sweden or Belgium, and your second year you can also do in Sweden, but you can also choose between Spain and France and Belgium, of course. And finally, by popular vote, I'm going to show you the Masters in Renewable Energy, which is indeed our most popular program. We get about 400 applications a year for this program alone, for some 50 or 60 seats, because of course it's a very hot topic, and this is the Masters in Renewable Energy. Just a bit of background there, you're gonna need some knowledge in electrical and mechanical topics to join this program, for example, thermal science, because that's of course key. And this program you can choose during your first and second year in 4 different institutions, including also KTH in Sweden, but also France, Spain, and Portugal. And there you can specialize in different fields related to renewable energy, like photovoltaics or offshore wind energy, hydropower, etc., etc. Every university has its own specialty, so it's pretty much linked to that. You also do a module at the ESADE Business School, actually 3 courses at the ESADE Business School. Now, as Jürgen told you, there's a bit of a rush if you're thinking to apply this year, or if you want to start this year, especially if you want to do your first year at KTH or Aalto, because we have a deadline, application deadline that's actually tomorrow. But don't worry, because there's still the option to study there, as long as, well, if you don't apply tomorrow, you can still apply until the 13th of June for most programs, where you can actually choose KTH as your second year, except for sustainable energy systems, because it's going to be full. So sustainable energy systems is not going to be an option for year 2 KTH either, but it is for Aalto. It is for renewable energy. It is for energy for smart cities. So you have options. What do we require from you? Well, an academic background in either engineering or related science fields, so like physics or chemistry, but primarily engineering, especially with knowledge in topics like mechanical, electrical, or chemical. Depending on the program, could be even like mechatronics or civil engineering, or there's like some specific knowledge that you need to have to enter the programs. But even some industrial engineers can join our programs. Then we look at your GPA, how was your average score at the university, and how you perform there. We ask for an English test, we look for motivations, and we look at the university that you come from. Don't worry, because many of the Colombian universities are well ranked. We have Colombian students every year, I think some like 10 of them or so. So I don't think there's any concern about the quality of the universities in that sense. As we've mentioned, we have a deadline of tomorrow, which is for students who are interested in KTH or Alto as a year one university. If you are not ready, you can still apply up until the 13th of June for most programs, except for two of the programs which I didn't present here, which are nuclear energy and smart electrical networks and systems. Those are not available in the last round, but the ones I presented are available. You just need to choose KTH or Alto as a year two institution. And if you're not looking to start this year, you're looking to start next year, then we will open up again applications in September. So that's you have enough time. Finally, investment. Well, the good news is there's no application fee, so you can just go into the website if you have the documents, apply, and it's done. You go to apply.innoenergy.com. And then when you get accepted into the program, you do have to pay a registration fee, which means you're going to secure your seat. That's a 250 euro non-refundable fee, where you say, okay, I'm coming, and this is to secure your seat. And then for participation, we charge 18,000 euros per year, which includes all the activities that are part of your program. So even if you're like living in Sweden and you have to travel to Spain to go to study business school, that's included, and the accommodation as well. What's not included is, of course, the living expenses, like where you're going to live when you study there, and then travel from to Colombia in this case. For students who are looking to join us next year, we have a partnership with COLFUTURO, which I'm sure you're aware of, and there you actually get an automatic discount of 5,000 euros if you're selected by COLFUTURO to finance your studies with us. Or we have a partial waiver for the best students from the ranking list, where they actually pay 10,000 euros instead of 18. We do have a few, not many, but just a few full scholarships, either waiver or a waiver and a grant. But those are allocated in the first rounds. So if you're looking to study this year, there's no more available. If you're interested in next year, we don't know the policy for next year yet, so I cannot promise that there will be, but normally there are, and they're available in the first two rounds. And that would be it from my side. But I'm sure, like, if you have lots of questions, we can answer them later on. And Annukka can tell you all about storage in a minute, together with Jürgen, of course. And Olena from KTH about the energy for smart city.
So please ask the question in the chat box, and then when we can reply, we're going to reply them during the workshop, during the webinar, and in the end we might look at some questions that you put in the chat as well. But please add them in the chat box, all the questions you have got. So Felipe, you said you're studying.
Master Select,
Okay.
Sustainable Energy Systems.
Okay, so why did you choose EIT Energy?
Well, there's a lot of factors actually, but to be honest, one of the first ones was the COLFUTURO scholarship, because I own it, so I have to like choose. Well, let's talk about like more or less the history. I was trying to get the master's degree, so one of the best options is applying for this COLFUTURO scholarship. But when you're applying for it, you need to know which universities are you allowed to present as your option. So like this is the first filter you have. And after in innoenergy, like all the things that they offer, the 2 university, 2 years, also because I got on a scholarship, a free waiver, so it was like everything is telling me, okay, this is your place, just do it.
Oh, and so why KTH and why Barcelona?
Well, first, the thing is, the second year, like depending on the university you choose, is your track, because you have to select like a specialization. So the track that I wanted for my second year, because the first year is the same, it's the one that is in KTH. This is like, it's integration of renewable energies. It's more or less like the track. So as the first year must mandatory to be either in Barcelona or in Stockholm. So as like my second year was Stockholm, I had to choose Barcelona, but I'm like so happy because it's like, oh, Barcelona is so nice, and like the Spanish and the Colombian culture are not so difficult. So going away from my house, being in a similar place with similar people, even the language just like helps a little bit. So yes, at the end, it's like I couldn't be more happy in that sense.
That's great to hear. So now thanks for you telling us about your experience going there, studying at EIT Energy. So was it difficult to apply for the scholarship at COLFUTURO, or was it pretty easy?
Well, it's not that hard. Actually, my brother, because I have an older brother, and he also applied for a master's, and we both passed. So it's more or less like it is not hard if you have working for it. I mean, if you are trying to, from your bachelor's, you are trying to do like research, going to become a speaker, for instance, in Congress, or like small things in your university, but it adds value. Also, like GPA, it's very important. And if you have work experience, also it adds a lot of value. Honestly, it's like depends also on the topic, because COLFUTURO is for everything. You could be like from art to engineering. So I would say engineering is quite easier because Colombia is trying to aim a little bit more on engineering. But well, at the end, it's more a fact of what have you done to deserve the grant. If you think you have done quite enough things, like it is not that complicated, but that's the point.
Oh, well, thanks a lot, Felipe. Well, I think the Colombians that are here today, I think now you got more information about how to apply to COLFUTURO, which is a very, very good organization. And many Colombians stay actually in Europe when they finish their programs, although that the interest rate might be a little bit high. They still stay in Europe, so it's not a problem, which is a very good thing. Felipe, are you thinking of staying in Europe when you have finished your program?
Well, for me, it would be amazing.
Okay, fantastic.
Yeah, I would love it.
So, great for having you here today, Felipe. Olena, here you are. Thanks. So, Olena, for me, a smart city, it's something I don't know that much, but what is a smart city really, Olena?
Well, I don't think that currently there is a global accepted definition of what smart city is, and everyone define it depending where they're coming from and what are they working with and what area it concerns. However, I think the most general definition of smart cities is it a city that uses technology to provide services and improve or solve city problems. And when they say technology, they usually mean ICT and sensors to collect data and then use those data to improve city services like transportation, accessibility, promote sustainability, give citizens a voice, etc. And in our program, we all agree with that. However, beside that definition, we also say that a city should not only be smart, but also sustainable. And smart, sustainable city is the people-centered, holistic approach to sustainable urban development with digitalization, electrification, and citizen engagement as enablers. So it's not only about technology, but also about people who live in, working in the city and create its environment, and also are the beneficiaries of the product they do.
Very interesting. I want to tell you that Bogota is part of a smart city challenge at the moment as well, which is very, very interesting. And I think, so why is it so important to study smart cities, do you think, Olena?
Well, currently cities are taking like 3% of the Earth's land. However, they contribute to 70% of global greenhouse gases emissions. Moreover, it's like predicted that by 2050, around 85% of European population will be living in cities. And I guess the numbers will be approximately similar for the rest of the world, but maybe a bit longer on the time span. Therefore, like it is, in order to create a good life for everyone, it's crucial to make city more efficient, more resilient, more climate neutral, inclusive. And for this, we need the multidisciplinary smart city experts who can actually contribute to this development.
Yeah. I think it's very important for the world to be more energy efficient, I think. And also when it comes to recycling, it's very, very important. Something that they started with quite recently to recycle, and the people, even like we need to recycle living in apartments and in houses, which was not something we did beforehand. So we started to recycle a bit more here in Colombia, but it's, yeah, in Sweden, we have been recycling for ages, if I'm not wrong.
Yes, Sweden is very well known for its efforts within the efficient use of resources and energy, and it's considered to be like innovative capital of Europe.
Wow. So why does KTH consider it important for students to study such a program? I think perhaps you will already answer that, but yeah.
Yeah. Yes, as I said, because we need the experts who are interested in the subject area and who are willing to develop new solutions, to come up with the entrepreneurship idea and business models in order to contribute to sustainable society, communities, and smart cities of the future.
And looking at the courses you take when when you're studying smart cities, what are you focusing on during this program?
Yes, as for the courses, I can share my screen and show what courses we suggest within our program. So the program curricula is developed in a way so independent where the students start their education either at KTH or KU Leuven, because KTH and KU Leuven are two options for the first year. So independent where the students will start their study, they should have the similar skills and knowledge, and therefore should follow pretty much similar course program. However, due to some cultural differences and differences in traditions and teaching approach at different universities, some course layout are a bit different at each universities. For example, at KTH, the university gives a bit of flexibility to students in the way of tailoring their study programs. So, for example, during the first year, students have 5 mandatory courses that include courses within the electrical engineering field, like power system analysis, power electronics, and within the mechanical engineering field, like heating, cooling, indoor climate, combined with the environmental subjects like smart cities and climate mitigation strategies, and transdisciplinary subjects like the transdisciplinary approach for system innovations. However, beside it, those obligatory courses covers only part of the program, and the other part could be tailored by students who can select the rest of the courses from the suggested list of electives. And yeah, so the second year of KTH is even more flexible, where students will have only 2 mandatory courses to follow, and of course the master thesis, and the rest of the program could be tailored by students themselves when they select the rest of the, when they complete the rest of the credits from the list of elective courses. And we also have this suggested list of courses, but also if students, for example, find another course at KTH that they think could be relevant for their study, they can also take that, of course. As for KU Leuven, the first year at KU Leuven consists of mandatory courses only, and you can see it's more of a engineering dominating courses like power system, power electronics, nuclear energy, etc. And the second year is a bit more flexible, but still you have only options within particular certainly defined field, like electrical energy, thermomechanical energy, general technical economic energy, etc. And then the UPC Barcelona and INP Grenoble offers the program only for the second year, so they are not the options for the first year. And the second year at UPC Barcelona, it consists of one mandatory course and some elective options, as well as obligatory internship either in the company or the research environment, and of course the master thesis. And the same goes for INP Grenoble, where students have like a number of mandatory courses that they can complement by elective courses, and they also should do an internship at the company or at the research institute. And INP Grenoble has very good connection with the industry and companies, so they usually help their students to find an internship. Yes.
Thanks a lot. Well, to do an internship is a very, very good option. If you like to find a job, to do an internship is a fantastic option. To find a job, yeah, that's a very good option. And so when it comes to students, what kind of students are you looking for, Olena?
Well, actually, we don't have any kind of very strict criteria to students. Of course, as Javier mentioned, there are basic backgrounds like bachelor degree or a GPI or English test. Yes, it's all clear requirements, but we're just looking for students who are interested in the subject areas, who are ambitious and motivated to play a role in the rapidly urbanizing world and exploring how to create more sustainable, resource-efficient communities. So as soon as students are driven and interested in these subject areas and want to contribute and make an impact, they're welcome to apply.
Fantastic. Well, Olena, thanks for telling us about your program, Smart City, a program that, yeah, as I said, they're doing. They got this Smart City Challenge here in Colombia. But I shared with you here on in the chat box as well. It's very interesting. Let's see if I can share it here. Put it here. So if you got any questions, please add them in the chat box, and then we'll have a look at them during the webinar. So Annukka, hi Annukka.
Hello.
So you're an expert on battery and battery storage and a bit about like renewable energy, if I'm not wrong.
Well, I'm an expert on energy conversion and energy storage. So we have several different types of energy storage systems, but yes, they all are addressing the challenges that when we're increasing a significant amount of renewable energy, it needs to be stored because it's intermittent. So it needs to be balanced with something, and storages are playing one significant role in the energy transition. So the program on the energy storage, that's the newest program I understood in innoenergy's portfolio, and that's because it has also been something that was very industrially driven. So our coordinator from IST, they made a very big study on the kind of companies and what kind of an expertise they would actually require in the future. And this was identified as one of the very, very important learning things. And the advantage is that not many places yet offer a very specific master's program on energy storage only. So therefore, I'm very excited to work with this program.
Yeah, when it comes to batteries, it's a tricky thing, isn't it? How do you recycle a battery? Quite a few things in batteries that harm the environment quite a lot. It's quite an important thing to have a look at. And what are the latest technologies in batteries and energy storage?
Well, actually, there's a very significant approach going on in the different type of storages. So we need to store electricity, but we also need to store heat. We also need to store mobility, so to say. So all the fuels we use in mobility are energy storages themselves. And this is a very interesting question now when we want to electrify the transport sector. What are the kind of the fuels needed? So kind of we call them energy carriers. They can be direct electrification so that we can use batteries in smaller vehicles, but in larger vehicles, that's not possible anymore. So we need different kind of energy carriers. And this is broadening a lot. So there's a large variety of new things. Of course, they need to be sustainable. So therefore, there's a lot to do and a lot of development ongoing on this field right now.
I've even seen that they're thinking of doing planes run on batteries. I think that is quite amazing.
Yes.
Have you seen that, Annukka? That like planes run on battery?
Yes, certainly, of course, but then they're more like for like a shorter distance or very light planes.
Uh-huh.
But if we are talking about like the current planes and using jet fuel, then we have to have other type of options because the energy densities of the current batteries are not just suitable yet. So whether it needs to be a development on the battery sector or that's going to be a development of the other sectors.
And what is Aalto University doing in terms of research and development of storage capabilities?
Yes, and in Aalto University, we have actually, one of the advantages is that we are actually doing a very multidisciplinary work. The reality is in energy storages, we have to work with many different backgrounds, and therefore we also kind of invite students with different backgrounds, because this is a very clear thing. It's not anymore needed that you're just a chemical engineer, or electrical engineer, mechanical engineer, building engineer. We are working in a very wide range of areas. So this is actually one of the strengths in Aalto University, that we are working throughout the whole value chains, like from lithium-ion battery, starting from the mining and going throughout the whole design and optimization, and then going through the disassemble and the recycling. So we are trying to look very wide circles and not just kind of try to optimize one part of the value chain, for instance. And these kind of approaches we also have here very strongly in Aalto University. One of the things what we're very interested in is this discharge of batteries before recycling, so that we could efficiently recycle them, because at the moment we cannot recover the quantity of critical materials that we would like to with the current processes.
I think that is a tricky part. To recycle a battery is not easy at all, I can imagine.
Well, when you are talking about nanomaterials, so you're talking about putting metal atoms together, and then you're talking about trying to get them like separated in a pure stream. So it's not a very easy process, and it's not very energy. Like it requires a lot of energy. So there's a lot of improvements required. So it's not just recycling them, but it's in the design phase. So we need to actually design the batteries so that they can be recycled.
Oh yeah. And so why did Aalto decide to launch a program in this field?
Maybe because we have a very strong, like for instance, my own chair is a good example. We even have a professor on energy storage. This is not something that every university has. So therefore, this was a very when the coordinator was asking whether we would be interested in, and we didn't have our own program in Aalto yet, but we are offering 4 courses on energy storages, which are of course included to this master's program. So I mean that we have a very wide selection of different expertise, which is very useful for the energy storage field. So this was when we heard about this idea, we were thinking about that this is exactly, and also the question is that this is so new topic, and they're really, our first students will now graduate during summer. So they are the first kind of experts who graduated from energy storage field. And this has actually been also a marketing question to the companies. They don't even understand this expertise already exists, but there's a very large need for that.
I can imagine there might be plenty of jobs in this area in Finland, or not?
Well, there is both in Finland, also in Sweden, and in many countries in Europe. The current master students who are in second year, the 4 of them, one is doing the final work in the Netherlands, one is doing in Finland, and 2 are doing in Poland. So they are already all over Europe. So there's a large need at the moment.
And that is something that Javier also said, that like 94% find a job in their renewable energy. It's an amazing career. It's an amazing career path to start a study one master in renewable energy with EIT Energy. So what type of course do students follow in a program in energy storage?
So as I already kind of mentioned, they are going to be courses from different disciplines. So this is actually something not very typical. So you are going to take some courses from chemical engineering, some from kind of what I was telling. We have 4 courses on the energy storage. Is one of the courses is circular economy, so kind of like whole design of the energy storages. Then we're going to have 1 course from electrical engineering. So I mean that they are going to be a little bit different kind of combination of courses that you maybe would get in a regular university. So this is a very interesting path, and I can really see that is kind of like providing very large and a bit different kind of expertise than maybe with the traditional master's programs.
Oh, that's very interesting. You studied different subjects in the same program, so it's was it like a cross? Pretty much like a mixture of everything, which is a very interesting thing as well. So what background do you need to have to study energy storage?
Well, this was kind of also the other thing, is that we do invite students with different kind of varieties of background, because this is not just, we can't just say that, yes, if you're a chemical engineer, come here, or if you're a mechanical engineer. So we also give points for different kind of background. So if you're anyway interested in, then please apply, because I think this is a quite a unique program that we at the moment have here in under innoenergy.
Yeah. Another thing, when it comes to the recycling of the batteries, that is something we do, I would say, quite well in Europe. Well, in Sweden, pretty much like since I was a young boy, I knew that I had to go to one place to put the batteries in a bin. And that is something I've been doing for quite some time. And I think the same thing in Finland, if I'm not wrong.
Yes, of course. But I mean, the biggest intensive for recycling is that it's economically viable. If the recycling makes economical sense, it will be organized so that the logistics will be organized as well. So that's kind of the main driver here. We need to make it so economically viable that it's going to be organized. If it is going to be costly, nobody is going to do that. If there's no legislation to do that, that's the other thing. But I mean that if it's valuable, we have valuable metals in there, which are critical and which we want to recover. So it would make it quite clear that the processes must be done so that they're economically viable, and therefore all over the world, you know, when you can get money out of the kind of returning something, it becomes a much more interesting option for all human beings on Earth. So that needs to kind of design the drive. That's the driving force for recycling.
Yes. There's something we do, like look at the recycling in Sweden. That's something we're doing for ages, like recycle, pretty much like a soda can or something, recycle, and then you get some money when you return it to the supermarket. And that's something we've done for ages. And I think this might be the same thing in Finland when it comes to recycling. Yes,
but if you're thinking about, for instance, the aluminium soda can, the advantage of that is that that's a one material thing. It's aluminium soda can. It's super easy to recycle, so it's very efficient and easy process to do. If you're thinking about a battery, we're talking about 40 different elements in the battery in nano size. And then you're talking about much more complicated issues. But these are very critical materials, and we must recover them, or else we will need to start such a big mining excavations that it's not either going to be a kind of like possible. So we will have to find solutions for that.
Yeah, no, for sure. And in particular now when a lot of cars are run on batteries in Europe, and it's very, very common. I think in Norway, it's where pretty much like if you haven't got a car run on battery, you get quite a good, the tax might be much, much higher by not using a car run on battery. Is it the same thing in Annukka? It's the same thing in Finland, and when it comes to cars run on battery?
Well, it's not the exact same thing in Sweden and Finland. Of course, the numbers are increasing, but in Norway, the electric vehicles were given a lot of subsidies and a lot of privileges. So a lot of people buy it on EV, so that the Norwegians have been doing that for a longer time. This change in transition from other things to EVs is going little by little. But the problem is not only the cars, but there needs to be the charging infrastructure, and the charging infrastructure needs to be handled so that we don't have so many cars that we can't charge them anywhere. So there's a lot of balancing to do still.
Yeah, I think that's the problem, to charge the car as well, to find a station where to charge it, and you have to do it if you can do it in your house or not. That is another thing. But yeah, it's very important to have a look at the recycling of a battery. As I said, there's many different parts of the battery that it might be difficult to recycle. It's very, very important to have a look at it now and not later. So I think we've got some questions here coming up. So please, if you've got any questions, add them here in the chat box. Let's have a look here. We've got quite. Hi to everyone. Thanks for your time and invitation. I have a few questions. Maybe you can answer. Usually the courses of the different master's programs are in English. Yes, I think most all courses are in English, if I'm not wrong.
All courses are in English.
Yeah, and it's the same thing. Yeah, it's the same thing in Barcelona, Felipe?
Yes, they are in English.
Okay.
Generally, the master level courses are in all countries in English, but possibly the bachelor's level courses could have been then with the original language. But in Europe, this is mainly the case.
Yeah, and for the application exists, is there any minimum GPA score?
Excellent question. It's different per program, but let's say somewhere between 6.5 or 7 out of 10 could be a safe starting point.
As a master's student, I can have benefits of travel around Europe. Well, I think yes. Well, Ben, I would say, like, if you're a master's student, you can travel around the entire European, like all the Schengen countries actually, and even might be like the Norway, Iceland as well, and Switzerland, I think. So yeah, I think studying in the Schengen country, I think you can travel around quite freely. If I'm not wrong, Javier.
Yeah, definitely. So you obtain a visa for the country where you're going to live the first year, and then you obtain a visa for the country that you're going to study in the second year, and then with that visa you can travel all over, really.
And you also get this post-study visa. For example, if you study in Sweden, you can stay for 1 year after you finish your studies. In Finland, how long can you stay in the Finnish studies?
Unfortunately, I don't remember that, but that's something you probably don't find from the Finnish embassy.
Yeah.
They are going to be so nicely involved in this process.
No problem, Annukka.
I believe it's also a year, I believe.
Yeah.
Okay. Oh, very, very good. And I think in Holland, it's a 2 years, Javier?
It's 1 year, but you can do it even 3 years after you graduated. So let's say you graduate, you go back to Colombia, 2 years later you apply, and then you can still get your 1 year visa to come back.
Wow. And then there's another question related to the last question. How easy is it to balance the academic and the personal life? I would like to hear some experience of the students in Colombia. Our academic system is quite different for European. So Felipe, what has been your experience?
Well, I would say that it depends on the class, because I'm taking classes from both KTH and UPC. I would say the UPC methodology is more or less the same than Colombia. It's like very long classes with a lot of topic, like a lot of theory, while KTH is more like applications, and the classes are way shorter, and you have like a time to rest. You have breaks in the classes, so it's like different, and I would say it's more independent. It's more what you understand by yourself, and then what you try to do by yourself after the class. But I would say the Colombian level, it's of the universities, especially if you are from a public university, you won't be overwhelmed. Actually, the total opposite. Well, it will be like a good level. But it's not. You still can hang out and have fun. Yeah, it's important to be proactive and study.
Yeah, I think it's important to focus on your studies, and of course you would have some time to relax a little. But yeah, I think it's very important to focus on your studies and also to find a job, look at the job opportunities. How long does the work experience have to be to apply, Javier?
Nothing, not at all. So we don't ask for work experience. You may have it, and that doesn't hurt. Of course, there's nothing wrong about it. But it's more about your motivation related to learning innovation, entrepreneurship topics like business, on next to, of course, engineering, because we want you to have that entrepreneurial mindset. But you don't need to have experience.
And another question that comes up quite frequently is about the age limit to apply. I think there's no age limit. You can be
Any age.
Any age, exactly. Exactly. And that is a common question in Colombia, because they still pretty much like when you're the parents want you to start to do the bachelor program right after high school, which is very, very different in Europe. So, well, you can, yeah. What's your oldest student at the moment, Javier?
Great question. We don't even look at that, but there's no limit. I don't know. Annukka, do you know Alto energy storage? Maybe like 30, I guess.
Well, we only have very few students, so we haven't got a very but we have had some students who have been first working somewhere. So this is not considered in any way bad thing in our master's program, rather kind of like an experience. So I would not see that would be being kind of like a big question. So,
Olena, have you at an age limit at KTH? I don't think so. No.
No, it's such not an issue at KTH, so we don't even pay attention to what are the age of the students. So
no, we don't keep track either.
No.
And
it's not a column that we evaluate when we are evaluating the students. We don't look at those things. We look at the motivation part.
And I think if you got like about 10 or 15 years of work experience, it's even better looking at finding a job after when you finish your studies. So no age limit at all. As an engineer, is it possible to take technical and management courses for a multidisciplinary development?
That's exactly what we offer. Because the idea is that you're not only going to study engineering, but that you're going to develop business skills, innovation, entrepreneurship. So that's I think the difference with from EAT innoenergy programs.
Exactly, the combination. For EU nationals, is there any economical support available for living costs? Have you know anything about that, Javier?
Yeah, that's going to depend on every country, I guess, because like, for example, in the Netherlands, there are some benefits depending on how much you pay for accommodation. You might get some money back from the government, but it's really on a country by country basis. In our case, we don't have, our fees are flat fees. The only difference there is that people who graduate from top European universities can have access to an even bigger discount, like a scholarship. So they would pay 5,000 euros instead of 18. But that's reserved for people who graduated from European universities.
Yeah.
Many of which are from our own partner universities, of course.
Oh, great. Well, we haven't got any more questions here at the moment. So, well, Annukka, very interesting to have you here today. And as I said, it would be very interesting to do a radio program with you another day, looking at battery storage and all these things. Olena, great to have you here as well. So how's the weather in Sweden at the moment, Olena, sorry.
No, it's okay. Well, we had few nice spring days for a week, but now I think like the winter vibes are back. So we even had few drops of snow last few days. So yeah, but contrary to rumors, the weather in Sweden is not that bad. So the winter is not that cold usually, and summer is very mild and pleasant, and it's very beautiful in spring and in autumn. So I think people will be pleasantly surprised when they arrive here. It's not that north.
And I think the thing is about using the right clothes. I think that's what it's all about. And some people get affected by like short days in winter, but that is a time when you should travel to Spain or someone else just for a weekend, which is quite easy when you are in Europe. So I think it's more about like to use the right clothes. Annukka, how is the weather in Finland at the moment?
Very similar. We are a neighbor country, so to say So I mean that maybe if you're thinking about this, I might suggest to look, for instance, one of the Southern European or mid-European, one Northern European, like to be 1 year there and the other one here, where first of all we're culturally very different, as Felipe already told you about the kind of teaching culture is somewhat quite different. Also the weather is very different, activities are very different, so that would be maybe a very wise thing to kind of, that's why I kind of also like these innoenergy programs, that you don't just come to Europe, but you actually get to experience 2 different kind of places. And for reminding, during the winter when it's a bit darker, we also have snow here, so that's also a very nice experience. But Sweden and Finland are very close. We're very small countries if you compare to the countries in South America. So it's not a very big changes between the countries, but it also makes traveling very easy when in Europe the countries are not so huge. So.
Yeah, me myself, I love to ski, and that is something I can't do in Colombia, which is a bit sad. So I love to go to Sweden during Christmas time for skiing, but sometimes it's not possible. But in general, I can do skiing in Sweden, close to Stockholm. And Olena, I think, have you got cherry blossom at the moment, or about to come out?
Sorry, what?
The cherry blossom?
Oh yeah, there's just about to come out at Kungsträdgården.
Oh, wow.
But the park look like you're somewhere in Tokyo.
Ah, wow. Have you got cherry blossom in Finland, Annukka?
Yes, we have a very big park here in Eastern Helsinki. It's very popular as well. So it's very nice. It's a little bit later than in Japan, but it's very nice and important park here also.
And also you got Santa Claus in Finland. Santa Claus Park, if I remember not wrong.
Yes, we have Santa Claus Park in Rovaniemi in Finland. So that's also something very interesting to visit, especially during the kind of the like even a little bit outside the kind of the Christmas season, because then it's not so crowded.
So Felipe, now you know what to expect when it comes to Sweden. We have one more question came in here. Could you give us a brief about the requirements for this master degree? How possible are there to work and study at the same time? Was it very difficult to do something like that? Maybe for the student, for the study schedules in your experience. Javier. Yeah. Okay.
Sure. Requirements, again, vary per program, but in general, you have to have a bachelor's in engineering, like mechanical, electrical, chemical, electronics, mechatronics, civil could even be, or industrial, depending on the courses you have followed. And mostly you need to have some background, like you need to have good mathematics, you need to have some background in thermal sciences, especially when it comes to renewable topics, or chemical. Yeah, I mean, depends on each program. GPA, as I said, again, varies per program, but say a 6.5 out of 10 is a good place to start, ideally above 7. Then we look at the university you come from, we look at your English test score. You need to have a 6.5 IELTS or 92 TOEFL. And your motivation is very important, of course. So as we said, no work experience required. We don't look at that. We don't look at your age. Really, in all honesty, we don't have a track of that. So I cannot tell you how old is the oldest student that we have, because I really don't know. It doesn't matter. We look more at your motivation. And then working part-time. I see a lot of students, they do internships and they do thesis projects and they do kind of like something on the side, but I would say the commitment is, of course, to study very hard. But yeah, perhaps Felipe has more experience with that because he's actually doing the program.
Well, during the studies, they all the time did say we would not recommend you to do a part job. I think it depends of the because I would say the level, it's sometimes you have a lot of things to do, like 1 month you are overwhelmed with activities and another 2 or 3 weeks when you have like more free time. So that's risky because if you are getting a job, then you can mess up with that. So, well, I can agree. I would not recommend at all, but it's possible and people that can do it. But yeah,
I could maybe add here that for instance here in Aalto, when students normally do in internships, they do them in the summer between the kind of the first and second year. So it's not like during the kind of the classes, but kind of in between. So they go, for instance, to work in a company for several months. So all the semesters already very early ending. I think KTH also the kind of Northern European semesters, they end quite early. So ours end already at the end of May. And if you're, for instance, going to IST or Italy, they start in mid-September. So there's several months time to, for instance, do internship in companies at that time. And there's very little activities. And also the master thesis, which is a part of the second year, very often they're done also as an internships contract. So I mean that it's actually not a very long time that the time you are studying. So I would also recommend very strongly that you would focus on the studying. So the first year and then the first half of the second year when you're more focused on the study path.
Yeah, then we got here a question. After finish my studies, do I have any kind of visa opportunity to stay work in Europe? Yes, you have, as you said. Sweden got 1 year. And if you get a job offer, then you change it to a work visa. And I think the same thing might be the same thing in Finland. What would you say, Javier?
Yeah, mostly it's usually 1 year. In some cases, it's 1.5 years, like in Germany. I think in France it's about 2 years. In Poland, it's even more, I think like 3 years. So most countries do have the possibility to stay automatically afterwards. I think only Spain, Portugal, and Belgium do not have such a visa. But of course, if you find a job, then you can just stay on a work visa, of course.
Exactly. So what I think we haven't got more questions here today. So Annukka, as I said, great to have you here today. Same Olena, Felipe, and Javier as well. So we are here to help you with the application process. We don't charge anything for our services. The only thing we charge for are the translations. And pretty much what we do is send the contact details for our official translator. So we don't charge anything for our services. We're just here to help. As Javier said here, please get in contact with us when it comes to apply. If you would like to do the first year at KTH or Aalto, please apply. Well, today or tomorrow. Yeah. So if you got all the documents ready, apply as soon as possible. But still, you can do your first year, your second year at KTH or Aalto, and the first year at another university. So it's a good option. So great. So thanks, everybody. Hope to see many of you that are here today to apply to one of the programs that EUT Energy got. So, well, have a good rest of the day for the people here in Colombia, for those who are abroad. Good evening. And I hope the COVID situation will finish very soon. So thanks a lot. Okay. Bye.
Thanks a lot.
Bye. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.